What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Ring the Bell Phillies show presented by SeatGeek. Right there on the bottom screen, you can see it. Head over to SeatGeek.com right now. Use that code Ring the Bell for $20 off your very first ticket purchase. John, I don't even know really where to start. I mean, the Phillies go 2-4 in this most recent road trip. Thank God they won Sunday afternoon, or else I probably wouldn't be doing the show because my laptop would have been in pieces in the middle of the street. But man, what a disastrous week, and for the most part, I mean the starting pitching, except for Taijuan Walker, was pretty good, but the Phillies, unlike the last 15 prior series, the bats weren't doing anything, and the specialty of John, the runners in scoring position, batting average was really poor. They just were not getting hits from anyone. I mean, before that RBI single in the that ninth inning, Bryce was 0 for his last 10 with 4 strikeouts. Overall, man, like what was your thoughts on this road trip? And I guess thank God we're heading back to Citizens Bank Park.
I'm going to agree with what my favorite manager said. I forget who asked him it, but it just, this team's going to hit, and we're just not hitting right now. That's just basically what it was. I mean, that's how hitters are. Sometimes they're just not going to be all on the same page. We've been blessed with the team for the past month and a half where it's everybody's contributing the entire game, and they're all, it was such at a high level that even Castellanos was saying, like, he's never been a part of something like this where every single person 1 through 9 was contributing, and they just kind of hit a wall. But
yeah,
it looked like they kind of were bounced back a little bit today. A bunch of guys had 2 hits, a bunch of, couple home runs here and there. Pitching again has just been absolutely stellar. Besides Taijuan Walker, who's just stealing money at this point.
yeah.
But I think they were kind of just won how many straight series in a row. They kind of were due to get it really stinks that the Rockies is one of them that they lost 6. They're not really a great team, but this Giants team is playing a lot better than what they did when they saw them a couple weeks ago. They're playing a lot better baseball than they were.
For sure. And look, most people don't treat the Phillies like I do or treat baseball like I do. Maybe John does. I have to kind of give him credit. I live every game, like 162 games. I take them. I don't know why, but I take it so seriously.
I said it to you today earlier. Like, I was like, it's kind of a must-win game today. He's giving JT a day off when there's an off day tomorrow. I know you want to rest him up, but give him 2 days off to rest him up for this weekend. But it was kind of a must-win game at this point because you're kind of like starting to skid down. You take one of your hottest hitters out of the lineup. Some of those things, I feel like they don't really play to win as much as I would like them to play to win because, they have been winning, but it just seems like they love getting that rest in here and there.
Yeah, I will say, I mean, except for the exception of a couple players, I mean, not, Nick Castellanos, Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, everybody else gets these off days. And sometimes you're right. I don't understand the thinking in some of these off days. Well, I mean, just to be frank, Bryson Stott should be playing 155
games. And didn't JT
games.
just have an off day like 2 days ago?
He had an off day a few days back, yes.
I think it was Saturday or Sunday he didn't play. Was it?
I think you're right. Yeah, I'll have to go back and check that. But, I look at guys like Bryson Stott. There's no reason Bryson Stott should be getting days off. Maybe if they have one of those kind of weeks where there's 7 games in a row, sure, you're throwing off
this
day
series
in there.
right here. This series where they just face 3 lefties, I'm fine with giving them off day.
That's one game. That would have been fine.
That's fine. But even if you're facing 2 lefties in the series, you shouldn't get an off day. 3 lefties in a row, okay, I get it. But come on, seriously, it's a joke at this point.
I agree. So the Phillies did find a way to salvage the week and salvage the series. They avoided being swept for the first time this season, which is crazy to say. They did go 2-4 on the road trip. They head home now for a 6-game homestand that does kick off Friday for a 3-game set against the St. Louis Cardinals. They come home with a 39-18 record, which is still the best record in Major League Baseball. Guys Kyle Schwarber did set the tone Sunday. He had that opposite field home run to lead off the game. It's his 23rd career leadoff home run as a Philadelphia Philly, which they've gone 19-4 in those games. And that's the singular stat is the reason that he's the leadoff hitter.
Yes.
I mean,
games when he bats leadoff. That's the only reason why. It's the only explanation.
It's the only explanation that if he hits a home run, they're more than likely they're going to win.
And hey, props to the guy. He's been unbelievable. He's been better than most people, expected. Even Jason had him at like 220. He's hitting 244, I
Yeah.
think, by the end of
He
this
leads
game.
the National League in walks.
He has, his OPP this is the guy the Phillies thought they were. I know he's been pretty good, driving and runs and walking, but they thought he was going to be a 240, 250 hitter when they signed him, giving him that deal, hitting those home runs. So this is the way he's playing around. This is who they expected when they signed him.
And just to, throw it out there, at some point, the home runs are going to start piling up. I mean, at some point.
It's not June yet.
Yeah, exactly. We got a couple more days.
So he has those Junes where he hits like 300 with 12 home runs, and he might be hitting 270 by the end of this June.
So I'm expecting Saturday and Sunday for him to hit like 2 to 4 home runs in the weekend because it'll be June 1st and June 2nd. But also another guy who I'm really happy for, just Sunday alone, Nick Castellanos, man, 3 for 22 on the road trip before he singled.
Today's Wednesday, right?
What?
Today's Wednesday, right?
Yes.
Oh, you said Sunday.
I did. I said, what would I have said Sunday for?
I don't know. I think because we've been recording on Sundays.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Cassie went 3 for 22 on this trip before he singled and scored on a Pache single. He doubled in the third and then hit his 7th home run in the 5th inning after an Alec Boehm double to give that Phillies a 4-0 lead. That pretty much, closed the deal for that win today. He did have 2 other chances to try to get that triple for the cycle. He grounded out and struck out in.
I don't think unless he hit that alley, he wasn't getting it.
Oh, he wasn't going to get a triple.
Even that when was it Pache who hit that single in the 2nd inning when he scored? I'm sitting there watching my dad and saying, "Oh my, he's out," because he looks like the slowest runner on the team when he's around this.
It is kind of crazy. You are accurate there.
And that guy, the left fielder, had a stronger. He was stronger, could throw it harder. He would have been out at the plate. He just didn't have enough zip on it. Because it was a good throw, just not enough zip.
Yeah, and the Phillies road trip, it ended with some intense drama, but thank God it wasn't over the final score. The benches, the bullpens, the clubhouse, they all cleared out, man, in that top of the 4th inning. After, Kyle Harrison threw 2 high and inside pitches to Bryce Harper in a row, nearly hitting him in the head or even the hand on consecutive pitches. I mean, the very first one, Harper, looked at the guy and said, "Don't throw at me." And then the very next pitch, John, goes to basically his head.
Weird, too, because the catcher was lined up outside, like low and away. So I don't know how, but he was all over the place. Anyways, he already almost hit a couple guys. So I don't think anything was intentional. But when you say don't fucking throw at me,
and then the very next pitch is even higher. I mean, something's going on there. But
the catcher and the umpire sprinted to there because they knew. I don't think if they were in the way, I think he still would have charged him out, even though he has matured a lot. I think he was really pissed at that situation, but they immediately got in front of him, so this thing didn't get out of hand.
Yeah, this was before that single in the 9th. Harper was not having a good day. Just not a good day at all.
In that first inning, he went to pick that ball, and he grimaced again. I'm wondering if I don't know what. I don't think he's serious. I think it's just there's something in his back, that bothers him all the time. And
just
sometimes
that's always there.
When he makes those weird movements, you see him grimace at it. And I think it sometimes affects how his games are going. Because even sometimes he swings like, oh God, because you see him just walk away. You think, what the hell is? Is he all right? And then he gets back and plays the rest of the game though. But I think it's just something where. I think earlier in spring training, he probably went to go see a doctor, and they probably told him, there's nothing really we can do besides rest. He's like, I'm not resting, I'm playing. He's been waiting to play a full season for a while, and I think it's just rest, and I just don't think he wants to do it at this point. I think he knows he can play through it, and that's what he's going to do.
Yeah, I agree. Look, no punches were thrown, just a bit of pushing and shoving. Pat the Bat Burrell came in, and I don't know what the hell he was doing.
Pat's always looking for a fight.
He's always looking for something, that's for sure. Maybe relevancy he's looking for again. I kind of also really want to talk, and I sent this to you guys in the group chat. I want to talk about Christopher Sanchez right now, who, in my opinion, is the number 3 in this rotation. And I think he's been that number. Overall, he's been a number 2 since
Nola
June.
Pretty good year.
He is, but when you go over Christopher Sanchez's numbers since June of last year, since the day he was called up, since being called up last June, Christopher Sanchez is sporting a 3.13 ERA with 152 strikeouts and 36 walks in 155 in the third innings. John, that's a $25 million a year pitcher, like stats there.
Mm-hmm.
He's a number 2 on 90% of staffs in Major League Baseball.
When he's throwing that changeup and he's using that changeup to his advantage, he's really, really good. But the problem is he gets behind. You saw it in the Angels series when he pitched against the Angels, and he really struggled. The Angels are a really bad team at hitting breaking balls, so he threw a ton of fucking breaking balls. Why would you it's like he got behind the analytics stuff where your changeup's great. Use your stuff. Who cares what that team can't do? Because there's going to be a time where the team that struggles hitting fastballs, they're going to play, and he's probably going to pound them. Who cares if they struggle to hit fastballs? Throw that changeup. Or there's going to be a team that's really good at hitting changeups, and that's going to happen where they're just don't. He's pitching with his changeup now, and he's pitching unbelievable. I mean, it seems like if you don't get him in the first inning, you're not scoring a single run off him at this point.
Right, I agree. And he cruised through 6 scoreless innings tonight. He's 3.
I was listening on the radio. It wasn't Spransky. I don't know who was on the radio today.
It was Greg Murphy.
Greg Murphy. Okay, Murphy was on the radio, and he was saying he should be going back out here in the 7th. I'm surprised he didn't go back out.
Me too.
The 7th inning.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, the reason why Greg Murphy is doing the play-by-play over the last couple of days is unfortunately Scott Fransky lost his dad last week. So, prayers up to the Fransky family. Scott's the best in the business, hands down. And from what
I don't like him on TV though.
Sometimes a radio guy's just a radio guy.
He's a really good radio guy.
He's the man.
He still talks like the radio guy. Like,
he does.
I like Kruk and T-Mac, so it's like
we haven't seen Kruk in a while. I don't know what's going on with him.
He doesn't do many road trips. He only like the Padres series because he played out there. He picks and chooses which road.
All right, because I feel like I haven't heard him in like 2 weeks.
He'll be back. Yeah.
So prayers up to the Fransky family. That just sucks, man. It's a shame, but looking forward to getting Fransky back in the booth.
Yeah, but he's not even going to London. Murphy said he was going to London today.
Murph's going to London?
That's what he said.
Wow.
I don't know if he's calling the game, but he is going to. He will be there.
I mean, I guess he'll call the radio broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I forgot what I was going to say, actually. Okay. Yeah. So Chris Sanchez this year is 3-3, sporting a 2.83 ERA, John. Like, that's incredible.
It's been unbelievable.
And
I dropped him in fantasy.
How dare you?
Well, it's Thompson's fault. They said they were going to do that thing with Turnbull. I don't even think Thompson said it was. Heyman said they were going to do the thing where maybe Sanchez starts this week and then he gets 10 days off, and because Turnbull takes his place. That little thing where they didn't know what they were going to do with Sanchez and Turnbull, and then I was like, oh, I'm not going to say this guy.
Sanchez has to pitch when it comes to his turn. You just do it. So let me ask you, let's kind of get to the crux of certain little topics here. Taijuan Walker, man, he's just a bad starting pitcher. He's bad. He's just really bad. That contract that I actually liked the signing when it happened because they needed another arm. And look, he was a pretty decent arm. And then all of a sudden, after June of last season, everything just kind of went awry. And he's a terrible starting pitcher. Whenever I know that he's starting, which is I know he's starting again Sunday Night Baseball this Sunday at Citizens Bank Park, I almost feel like in my head it's already 4-0 the other team, and the Phillies their bats have to be ready to roll when Taijuan's on the mound. Dude, what is take away what you think or what you assume Topper's going to do? What do you do with this, man? You're paying this guy like $18 million.
What really sucks is now I'm starting to think that Turnbull lose what he had, the mojo he had going, because it's agree. Do you say, hey, we're going to put Turnbull back in the starting rotation and we're going to put Walker in the bullpen? Who cares how much money he's making? That's a decision you need to do. Mm-hmm. But did it mess up with Turnbull? Or maybe it's just Turnbull is doing bad in the bullpen because apparently he has a long, strenuous workout he does before he's going to pitch. He throws footballs. He does a bunch of different things with his arm and stuff like that. So maybe that's why we're not getting the same guy out of the bullpen as a starting rotation. But you have to give that guy another shot because he was lights out when he was in the rotation. I mean, those 5 guys were the best 5 guys we've seen in a month for a season. They were unbelievable. And I mean, can Abel really be that much worse? He's a young guy,
You're right.
If Turnbull lost it, can Abel be as much worse as they're going to be both bad? Like, what you might as well give the young guy a shot. But I mean, I would say McGarry, but it seems like the way it looks right now, he's going to become a bullpen arm because he's only pitching out of the bullpen in AAA right now. So that what options do you really have at this point besides giving Turnbull another shot or letting Abel see what Abel has, in the majors?
No, I agree. I just don't know what they're going to be doing moving forward, and like, what's the leash on this guy? To me, he should even been on the roster for the 2024 season. And I've said that since the end of last season.
I just don't, because you took a guy like Turnbull who's pitching spectacularly,
yeah,
out of the rotation for a guy you didn't even want to throw 1 inning, and there was games they were blowing teams out for one. You didn't want to do 1 inning for him, so it doesn't why.
Yeah,
I don't understand the reasoning why I know you're paying. The reasoning is you're paying $17 million. And you're hoping you can spark what he had at the beginning of last year, but you didn't trust the guy to throw in the playoffs one singular inning.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's so frustrating to see that this is good. I mean, I guess, John, the question now is, since we're getting into June, the trade deadline is obviously the middle of July. Does that leave open a spot for John Middleton and for Dombrowski to go out and get another starting pitcher in here?
I don't know the answer to that, because if you put Turnbull back in that situation, maybe he's the same guy he was. You have to give him that opportunity. I think he deserves that opportunity for how well he pitched when Walker was on the IL. But are they really going to pitch 5 guys in the playoffs?
I just feel like if they didn't trust Turnbull enough to stick with him when they should have, right? So that tells me they're not comfortable with Turnbull. They're definitely probably not comfortable with Taijuan. So something's got. I mean, and I guess if you're winning, do you give a chance to a Mick Abel? Do you bring up somebody to get those innings? But I just don't think that's going to happen.
I don't either. I don't think Abel's going to even get caught at this point. He's going to get caught up this year because of the fact that they're winning games and they want to develop him more, and maybe not use his arm unless it's absolutely necessary, because they have a Turnbull. They're paying Walker $17 million, but at this point, I don't know what you can do with them, because you have to eat the money at some point, and you have to eat majority of the money. And he's gonna, if you want to get rid of him off this team, and what are you gonna do if you do trade for another pitcher at the deadline, because you can't. You're gonna pay this guy $17 million to be in the bullpen.
This is the conundrum that they're going to be in for the rest of the year, unless all of a sudden Taijuan turns this around.
He's throwing harder than he was at the end of the
season. He's throwing hard. That's great, but that means the ball's just still getting rocked. He's still getting rocked.
Yeah.
And he's still walking guys. This is just my issue is he's shown zero improvements since the middle of last season. He doesn't even sniff the mound in the entire postseason. I'm sure if they would have gotten to the World Series this year, he definitely wouldn't have touched a baseball. You somehow bring him back for this season. Spencer Turnbull, who you brought in as almost like a safety blanket for that 5th spot and for a role in the bullpen, starts pitching out of his mind. And then the second Walker's ready to come back, he gets the spot back, no problem. And he's done terribly since coming back into the rotation.
And I think he was terrible when he was in his rehab.
He was awful. Too. He was awful in his stints in the minors. So my again, what is the leash on this guy? And is it strictly money based? It has to be money based.
He went 6 innings on Sunday, or was it Sunday or Monday? He went 6 innings on Monday. He gave 6 runs.
An inning too long.
Yeah,
of course.
But he goes. I mean, he. It seems like he's a Nola's bad. You're still going to get 6 innings out of Nola. That's what it seems like.
Yeah, you're right.
They're going to ride with him.
You're right. Speaking of, we'll have to just see. We'll have to monitor. Obviously, as always, we're going to monitor that situation with Taijuan. Look, if that's the least of my worries in this rotation, then I guess we're okay. But I still
I
think
don't.
it's a
If they
spot
were
that needs to be
losing, I
worked
think
on.
I think that they were losing, there'd be a different talk. But they're winning, even though
Absolutely agree.
they had a bad 6 games, but they're winning, so they're not going to make a drastic change like that because they don't see it really a need when you have four really good pitchers and you have one bad guy. Most teams don't even have two good pitchers. They're in a lucky situation right now. So I think they're just going to deal with it until and hope he catches that spark.
No, I agree. I agree. By the way, just to kind of also piggyback off of Christopher Sanchez, in May alone, he was 2-0 with a 2.03 ERA. So he just continues to help add to already the best starting rotation in Major League Baseball. It's just wild. Now let's kind of shift over to the offense, and like I said, they had 14 hits on Sunday, which is tremendous. It was really great
Wednesday.
to see. I don't know why I keep saying Sunday. Sorry, yeah, because we're so used to recording normally on Sunday. So Wednesday, um, 14 hit output, man. Just it was great to see a team not so reliant on the home runs, even though they did get a big one from Castellanos, but still they smashed the crap out of the baseball. Casty matched the 3 hits he collected throughout the first 5 games of a miserable road trip. That at one point going into today, he was batting under 200. But even with those 3 hits Wednesday, Cassie still finished the road trip 6 for 27. Other guys aren't hitting well. Brandon Marsh is not hitting well.
He's not hitting at all. He had 6 home runs in April. I don't think he's hit a single one this month.
Yeah, so that's some of these guys are struggling, like we just said before.
I also
go ahead.
like to cater that too. I believe guys should be playing baseball no matter what, and I think getting the days off does affect you because you see. I think it is affecting Whit Merrifield's performance why he isn't playing so well because he's not. You need to be in that lineup and playing every. It's really hard to come off the bench and not seeing consistent live pitching. I think
he just missed a home run Wednesday, so I mean that was.
Yeah. And then even Marsh, like for some reason this month of May feels like he's missing a lot of games. Just they're platooning him a lot.
Do you think that's the struggling on offense? Like, what do you think that is?
I mean, I think that's what it is because he's not seeing the live pitching as much. Because in May he was great. I mean, April he was great. It seemed like he was playing almost every single day. But now it seems like they faced a lot of lefties this month. There's 2 in the series. He's missing maybe 2 games, possibly played the 1. So you see, he's missing a lot of time right now. So it's. I don't
understand what's going on with Marsh.
But he cannot hit lefties. I mean, he's really bad versus. He's like 300 versus righties and like 150 versus lefties. So he does have a problem hitting lefties. But I don't figure it out.
He's hitting 139 against lefties. So he's right back to where the issue he was earlier last season. He's hitting about 300 against righties. Over his last 30 games, he's hitting 240. Which isn't great. Over his last 15, he is touching that 275 mark. Mainly, he's walked a ton. He's walking a lot. But again, over the last, 91 at bats, he's hitting 240. And this was a guy who the very first 25 games of this season was mashing the baseball. So I don't know what it is, but again, it's the end of May.
Baseball players go through slumps,
it is what it is.
Months where he just doesn't have it, and hopefully we get in a couple days till June.
Yeah, look, to 90% of baseball fans, baseball season technically starts Saturday when we hit June. I'm sorry, when we hit June 1st, that's when everyone really starts paying attention to slumps, win streaks. How series are rolling, how players are hitting the pitchers. So
what teams are actually for real?
Yeah, exactly. What teams are for real? Overall, do you have any worry that this team's not going to get back into that role that they were just on?
I don't think it'll be as crazy as they just were, where they had the best 50 game in almost 150 years, whatever the crazy number. I don't think they're going to be that good again. I think they're still going to be a good team. I'm with Acuna being down and the way they've been playing this season. I think it's their division to lose. They control their own destiny at this point.
I agree. So with 3 coming up here at home against the Cardinals, what are you looking to see out of this team this weekend? Are you looking to see?
Score some
And
runs against a
I was about to
bad
say an
pitching staff.
offensive
Against
outburst.
a bad pitching staff. Besides Gray pitching, because Gray's the only guy who really has any hope in that.
I'll have to check the.
Or
Give
Lynn
me a
is Lynn
sec.
having a good Lynn's having a good
Lynn's
start
pitching Sunday night.
Okay, they'll probably lose that one. So 2-1, I think they're going to go. But I'm expecting the offense to
So
get
Mikolas is pitching against Nola on Friday, and then Gray is going up against Ranger on Saturday.
I like those 2 pitching matchups. I like to see the runs get going. That's what I want to see get going because Michaelis isn't really that great. Sonny Gray's having a pretty solid year.
So Sonny Gray's having a real good season.
Yeah. So have score if you can score 3 runs off him, I think they win that game because Rangers dealing. Hopefully Rangers settles back in. Maybe he just couldn't handle the high altitude. He was due for a really bad start. He's pitching out of his mind. And so I'm not. I think they go 2-1 this week, and I don't really trust Walker pitching at all this weekend against Lance Lynn, who's having a decent year.
Yeah, Lance Lynn's okay. Lance Lynn right now. By the way, if the Phillies win on Friday, they will secure a 20-win May. So that's pretty.
Just 1 win. Wow.
Yeah.
They have 19. Now you got to go figure out when the last time that's ever happened. They won 2 20-win months.
That's incredible to think about. Let me see here. Lance Lynn so far this season, 2-3 with a 3.45 ERA. So not too.
They can score off him. He's not the same guy he once was.
I agree.
They should score runs off him, but the problem is Walker has to shut them down because they seem like they're starting to hit the ball a little bit better. Goldschmidt's not the same bum he was 3 weeks ago where he couldn't hit a baseball.
I mean, look, this was a team that hadn't scored a run in 15 innings, and it helped that Schwarber led off the game with a home run, and then they compiled 13 more hits after that. So maybe that carries over into Citizens Bank Park on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That would be tremendous to get back on track here.
The problem is Bowman and Harper weren't hitting the last 6 games.
Right.
The team's going to go as those 2 go. One of them had, if they're not both hitting, one of them has to carry the load. So they both showed up. Bowman had a double today. I think a walk too. Harper had, an RBI single, and then the other guys actually contributed. It wasn't just them driving all the runs. So when those guys, are hitting, I think they're going to hit this weekend.
I agree with you. I think it's going to be tremendous. I'm looking forward to it. Last thing I want to bring up here, by the way, everybody, head over to SeatGeek.com right now. Use our code Ring the Bell for $20 off your very first ticket purchase. If you're watching us on YouTube, like, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. Means a lot. I'm assuming Trey Turner is going to be back relatively soon, maybe by next weekend, maybe even the middle of next week.
I said by Boston. Is Boston next week?
Let me check because I do know that he was taking ground balls a lot today. So let me go to Phillies.com here.
Because Boston was a home series, I believe.
Boston is in 2 weeks. Well, I mean, the 11th and the 12th.
That's right before they go to London.
After London.
Is it after London?
They play Boston the 11th and 12th and 13th. London is the 8th and 9th.
Who did they play before?
The Brewers, a 3-game set next Monday through Wednesday.
Yeah. I think I said by Boston because I don't think they're going to let them travel.
Probably not. So you're 2 weeks away.
The rehab starts, those series, and I think that puts them right around 5 weeks, 4 to 5 weeks.
Yeah,
if he comes back by then. But I don't see him, putting him on a plane traveling over there and everything. I think they're going to let him. That's what he's going to do his rehab stuff. So
here's the question, and I'm not trying to start a debate here, but if JT Realmuto continues hitting like Terminator in that number 2 hole spot the next 2 weeks, do you just bump him right out of there when Turner comes back?
I said it when he started hitting one there. I was like, why would you? He's been unbelievable there. I think there's less pressure with him having to. He's hitting behind Harper and Bohm, so
he's going to see all the pitches to hit.
Yes. He's he's not going to be the guy that they're getting walking Harper or Bohm to get to. Because they don't, if there's people who are in the scoring position now, they're going to want to pitch him because they don't want to have to face Harper or Bohm coming up.
Right.
Yeah, I don't. He's gonna get bumped. That's what the sad truth is. But I mean, I don't know. You didn't even bring up the real question. Is the real question? I mean, that's one. It's an obvious answer. He's not gonna get bumped. He's gonna go back to the 5 hole. That's just what's gonna happen. I would love to see, maybe Bohm go to the 5 hole and Schwarber go to the 4 hole. But that's just we don't live in a perfect world. And I was gonna let Turner lead off, but we don't live in that world, so that's not gonna happen. But the real question is, what do you do about Edmundo Sosa?
That's the
He's
thing.
clearly a better hitter than Rojas, and he's clearly a better shortstop than Trey Turner.
He is.
Put March back in center and platoon, because March starting a platoon. Do you platoon Rojas and March together, and
you're gonna have
Turner
to
play left field?
Well, that's not happening. Trey Turner's not going to the outfield for at least maybe 2 more years. I just think they're so locked into him being their shortstop or eventually their second baseman. I look, it's clear that defensively, Trey Turner isn't even the first or second best shortstop on the roster. He's the 3rd best defensive shortstop on the roster behind Sosa and Stott.
I think Stott would be just as bad at shortstop if he played there consistent. That's why he's not playing there right now.
I still think Stott is a better defensive shortstop than Turner. Look,
I don't think
that's setting the bar really low.
Yeah, I don't think Stott's a shortstop. He's a great second base. He's just one of those players who's not a shortstop. That's what Stott is. He's not. And same with Turner. He's not, but he's not a shortstop.
If it were up to me for the rest of their career, Stott would not leave second base. He's a
Gold Glove.
He's a platinum player at that position. He's incredible. I don't know why managers these days like to toy with things. If you're a second baseman, you're a second baseman, and just keep it that way. So I don't know what they're going to do. I think Edmundo Sosa is a good player. Maybe he's a better player when he's not an everyday player. But you are right.
But he's been an everyday player at this point. He's been spectacular.
Oh, I know. But the question, you're right. Where's there a spot for him? That's the thing. Here's the problem. Do you look to use him as a trade piece? Can Edmundo Sosa get you a really good return somewhere? It's not because he's a bad player. It's because there's no spot for him. He can't play the outfield. I guess, right? So
there's a team out in Los Angeles that had to put a guy at shortstop because they didn't have anybody who could play shortstop, and they have a ton of starting pitching. Maybe you package. I doubt they would do the deal, but maybe you package one of your prospects and you bring in. They have a ton of starting pitching over there with the Dodgers. That would be the only guess. That team that's really I really can't think of a team looking for a shortstop.
I don't know. I mean, he can play third base. He can play second base. So it's not out of the question that he can be. I mean, he is a super utility guy. So that's where it is. So that's a problem. Do I want to see Sosa go anywhere? Absolutely not.
No,
Am I advocating for a trade? Absolutely not. But if there's no spot for the guy, because Alec Bohm's not going anywhere.
Honestly, I don't think you're going to get a much return on him anyways. But I'd rather have him. Unless you're getting a top 100 prospect, like one top 100 prospect, I wouldn't even consider moving him. I love him on the bench. He can play, any position in the infield. I mean, if you had to put him in the outfield, he could play the outfield. I'm sure he could be. He's athletic enough he could play the outfield, but he can play any infield position. Things happen during the season. He's a guy that they're going to need, so I wouldn't even consider trading him. But if there's something where you can get something really good in return, you might have to consider pulling that plug because.
I agree. Something's going to have to give. If you don't have a spot for the guy and he's playing once a week, maybe twice a week max, then I don't know what you're going to do because you're right. Since he's gotten that opportunity, he's thrived. He wasn't so great in the 2-hole, but I mean, I don't expect him to normally obviously ever be in that spot.
I mean, Harper's never moving from first base because the only thing you could say is throw Harper back in the outfield and let him play third base, but I just don't. That's not going to happen. There's really nothing, They can finagle things, but do you want to do it? The only realistic thing is Trey Turner becoming an outfielder. That's the only thing I can see happening, and I don't think it happened. I agree. It probably doesn't happen for another 2 years. Look, he hasn't played there since he was a rookie.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, look, he's got the athleticism to do it. He's got the speed to be out there, but it's just he makes $300 million. He's going to, unfortunately, he has that clout to say, look, I'm not moving to the outfield. I just don't want to do it. And that's just the way it's going to have to be for now. And they're obviously not going to mess with it because the guy before he got hurt was hitting 340. So you're not going to rock that boat. But it's going to be very interesting to see. It's not going to bother me one way or the other if they're still winning.
Maybe they let Turner DH for a couple weeks and let Schwarber play the outfield a little bit. Maybe they do and let Sosa go. Maybe put less stress on Turner's legs. Maybe
so I'll tell you what,
for a little bit.
That is probably the most logical way out of this is to the first week or so intertwine Schwarber, Sosa, and Turner at the positions, and then the DH.
And
give Turner some time off the legs.
Makes the lineup better because Rojas isn't really playing well.
Right.
You can put Marsh out there for the game. You can put Rojas out there for the game. And, you get these guys some, I think that's what we might see, where we might see Turner a lot more Schwarber in the outfield than we would like to see for now. I don't think it's going to be a long-term thing. I think it's just going to be for now because Marsh and Rojas really aren't giving you much at the plate.
So my last question to you offensively is how much longer is the Johan Rojas experiment going to last? Over his last 7 games, he's hitting 200, 238 on base percentage. His last 15 games, 210, 244 on base. His last 30 games, 218 with a 248 on base. So the guy just simply does not get on base. And I know he's a big stolen base threat, but
I think you would have to start his total average to have to start dropping over under 200 because that means he really is hitting really, really bad. I think as long as he's hitting 200 plus, he's going to be in that lineup. He's
227 on the year.
And again, really, who are you going to put there?
Yeah, I know. You're right.
It's going to be Pache because he's really not doing much.
Yeah, I would like to see what Christian Pache is doing.
He's like 200. Maybe.
Yeah, I think you're probably on to something there.
He's
been playing good outfield.
Merrifield's hitting 180, so really is he an option? Maybe if he's an everyday player out there, maybe he's an option.
Yeah. So the only thing I'll say about Pache is that
the best defensive left fielder in baseball. So why would you move him out of left field?
I agree. Not once have I thought to move Marsh back to center. Over his last 15 games, Pache 257, 310 on base percentage. So when he's getting those opportunities, he's doing well. So again, it's a good problem to have. But look, Rojas has lightning speed, man, just game-changing speed. The dude just got to find a way to get on base more.
We're just going to have to wait 2 to 3 more years for Crawford to be ready. That's what we're going to have to do at this point.
That seems to be where it's headed. All right, John, before we roll out this weekend, we'll be back here. Actually, we probably won't be back here Sunday night because I'll be at the Phillies game Sunday night, and the game is a 7:00 start for Sunday night baseball. So I guess we'll be back here Monday. What are you looking at in terms of prediction for Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
2-1. Win the first game. I will say they can go 3-0 if the bats show up. The bats are there. They will win. And Bryce Harper homer Sunday night.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. That makes my whole weekend. So before we roll out of here, I wanted to just say a special happy birthday because we're recording this tonight, which is Wednesday. Tomorrow is my wife's birthday. So I wanted to say happy birthday. Without her, none of this is at all possible. She, I don't want to use the word allows me to, but there's never been an issue when I have to record, whether it's the kids are still awake or if it's late at night and I got to hop on here and do something. She's that 3-hole hitter of everything that goes on here. She's that top player around here. And I really want to say happy birthday. I love her so much. Happy birthday to my wife, Morgan. Thank you for continuing to sacrifice. So, this thing can keep going here so I can come on this show and look at John's face and talk to him. And the same with Jason Kent. But I love you. Thank you for everything that you do. I could not do this without you, even though I am the one here talking, doing all that. It doesn't work unless back in the behind the scenes, things are taken care of. So thank you to her. She's perfection. She's the best. God bless her. So happy birthday, Morgan. So John, thank you very much for joining me tonight. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. And we look forward to a fun weekend, hopefully of Phillies baseball, scoring a lot of runs, getting back to what they were before. For John McElroy, I am Chrissy Francesco, and we'll catch you guys down the road. Have a great rest of your week and weekend. And as always, go Phillies.